Does your scalp get greasy just a day after washing? You're not alone, and I'm about to show you the routine that actually works for oily scalps, especially after 50. In this video, we're going to talk about the real causes behind oily scalps, like overwashing, using the wrong shampoo, product buildup, and even hormonal changes. Then I'll walk you through a step-by-step scalp routine that keeps your roots fresher for longer. And I'll share simple but powerful lifestyle tips that make all the difference. By the end, you'll know exactly how to stop battling greasy hair every single day. First, let's talk about why your scalp feels oily so quickly. Let's start with one of the most common causes. First on the list is overwashing. I know it sounds unusual because we grew up being told that the cleaner your hair, the better. Washing less often feels wrong at first. But here's the thing, every time you scrub your scalp too frequently, you are stripping away the natural oils that are meant to protect it. Your sebaceous glands then go into overdrive to replace that oil. It's simply your body's natural response. The more you strip away, the harder your scalp works to replenish. What happens in the end? You wash your hair every single day, your scalp reacts, and within hours your roots are greasy all over again. It becomes a never-ending cycle. This cycle is especially common for women over 50 because hormonal changes already shift how our skin and scalp behave. Our scalp is more sensitive now, and overwashing just makes the problem worse. Moving on to the second cause, let's talk about the wrong shampoo. It is easy to assume that anything labeled moisturizing or volumizing will help. But the truth is, these formulas often do the opposite if your scalp is prone to oil. Many of them are thick, creamy, and packed with heavy oils that simply sit on the scalp. Instead of giving your hair that fresh, clean feeling, they leave behind a layer of residue. That residue weighs down your hair and attracts more oil, so you feel greasy even faster. And the tricky part is that even shampoos marketed as natural or hydrating can cause the same issue if they are not designed specifically for oily scalps. The result is flat, limp hair that never quite looks freshly washed, no matter how much effort you put in. Now let's transition to another cause, which is product buildup. This is a sneaky one because it often goes unnoticed. Think about all the styling products we use. Hairspray to hold curls in place, mousse for volume, serum for shine, and on top of that, dry shampoo when we want to stretch the time between washes. The problem is that over time, these products do not completely wash out. Small traces stay behind on the scalp, and those traces cling tightly, blocking pores and follicles. This traps oil underneath, and the scalp feels greasy much sooner than it should. The result is that heavy, coated feeling at the roots. And here's what makes it confusing. Sometimes it feels like your scalp is producing extra oil, but in reality, it is simply oil being trapped by leftover product. Instead of clean, breathable roots, you are left with a scalp that feels suffocated and hair that looks weighed down. And another major factor is hormones, especially after 50. Many women notice changes in their scalp during and after menopause. Estrogen levels drop, and this throws off the balance of oil production. For some women, the scalp becomes dry and itchy, but for many others, it becomes oily more quickly than before. Combine this with stress, diet changes, or medications, and the balance becomes even harder to maintain. What used to keep your hair fresh for days in your 30s or 40s may suddenly stop working in your 50s and 60s. This is not your imagination. It is your body changing, and your routine needs to adapt to keep up. And that's the one we don't talk about enough. The hormones. Once you reach 50, your body goes through a series of changes that naturally affect your scalp and hair. Estrogen, the hormone that helps regulate many processes in your body, starts to drop. When estrogen levels fall, the oil glands in your scalp are no longer kept in the same balance they once were. This is why many women notice their scalp feels completely different than it did in their 20s or 30s. For some women, the scalp suddenly becomes dry, tight, and itchy. The oil glands are not producing enough to keep the skin comfortable, so the scalp feels irritated. But for many others, the opposite happens. The glands start producing too much oil in a short span of time, and the scalp ends up feeling greasy even when you just washed it. The imbalance is frustrating because it can feel like your old routine has suddenly stopped working overnight. Hormonal changes also interact with other parts of your lifestyle. Stress plays a role, especially during and after menopause. High levels of cortisol can stimulate more oil production and make your scalp feel greasy faster. Diet can have an impact as well. If your meals are heavy in fried or processed foods, the sebaceous glands can respond by producing more oil. Even certain medications commonly prescribed after 50, such as those for blood pressure or cholesterol, may change how your scalp behaves. All of these little factors stack up and make your hair feel more unpredictable than before. This is why a routine that worked beautifully in your 30s may not give you the same results in your 50s or 60s. It is not because you are doing anything wrong. It is simply because your body is different now and your scalp needs a different kind of care. Once you understand that hormones play such a big part, it becomes easier to make peace with these changes and find a routine that fits the new stage of your life. Now that we've covered hormones, let's move on to the practical part. It is time to talk about the routine that actually works to keep your scalp balanced and your roots fresher for longer. The first step is to wash less often but wash smarter. This one can feel uncomfortable at first because most of us grew up believing that clean hair means daily washing. In reality, frequent shampooing strips away the natural oils your scalp needs for balance. When that happens, the oil glands simply respond by producing more, and the cycle repeats itself. The healthier approach is to aim for every 2 to 3 days instead of every single day. If your scalp feels too greasy in between, you don't need to reach for shampoo right away. A gentle rinse with water or a lightweight scalp refreshing spray can freshen things up without triggering oil glands. Think of it as giving your scalp a break so it can regulate itself naturally. It may take some time to retrain your scalp, so patience is important. After a few weeks, you will start to notice that your roots are not getting greasy quite as fast. That small change is a big step toward balance. Once you are ready to change your wash schedule, the next important step is picking the right shampoo. The choice of shampoo makes all the difference for women with oily scalps. What you want to look for are sulfate-free, lightweight formulas made specifically for oily hair. Sulfates can be too harsh, pulling away every bit of oil and leaving the scalp feeling stripped. That stripping effect tells your oil glands to work even harder, and the end result is an even greasier scalp the next day. At the same time, avoid shampoos that are marketed as ultra-hydrating or creamy. Those tend to leave behind residue that clings to your roots and weighs your hair down. The sweet spot is a formula that feels clear, light, and refreshing instead of thick and milky. When your shampoo rinses clean without leaving a heavy coating, your hair feels fresh for much longer. Once you have the right shampoo in hand, the way you use it is just as important as the product itself. Concentrate the shampoo at the roots instead of dragging it all through your hair. Oil collects at the scalp, and that is where cleansing should be focused. Your ends don't carry the same oil, and scrubbing them only dries them out. When massaging shampoo into the scalp, use the pads of your fingertips instead of your nails. A gentle circular motion works best. Scratching with your nails may feel satisfying at the moment, but it can irritate the scalp and actually encourage oil glands to produce more. As you rinse, the shampoo will naturally flow through the lengths and ends, cleaning them gently without rough handling. This approach is far kinder to your hair and keeps both your scalp and ends healthier. Every routine also needs a reset, which is where clarifying shampoo comes in. Using one once a week is essential if you use styling products or rely on dry shampoo. Over time, residue from sprays, serums, and mousses builds up on the scalp. Regular shampoo often does not fully remove it. A clarifying wash clears out stubborn buildup, leaving the scalp refreshed and able to breathe again. Think of it like exfoliating your skin. You don't do it every day, but when you do, the results are noticeable. The key is moderation. Once a week is plenty. Any more than that can dry out the scalp too much, and dryness only leads to the glands pumping out even more oil to compensate. Next is the conditioner, which needs careful placement. Many women unknowingly create greasy roots simply by applying conditioner too high. The conditioner should always go only from the mid-lengths down to the ends. These are the areas that actually need moisture because they are older, drier, and more fragile. The scalp does not need conditioner as it already produces its own natural oils. Even a small amount near the roots can cause your hair to look heavy and oily before the day is over. By keeping conditioner away from the scalp, you allow your roots to stay clean and lifted while still giving the ends the hydration they need. Here is a small but powerful trick that makes a visible difference: rinsing with cool water. Hot water feels comforting, especially in the shower, but it stimulates the oil glands in your scalp. That stimulation can make them more active and encourage quicker oil production. Switching to cool or lukewarm water calms the scalp instead. It also helps seal the hair cuticle, which not only keeps oil under control, but also adds natural shine. It may take some adjusting to get used to cooler rinses, but once you see how fresh your scalp feels afterward, it becomes worth it. But what happens after washing is just as important as the washing itself. When drying, always pat your hair gently with a towel instead of rubbing it vigorously. Rubbing spreads oils unevenly and irritates the scalp, which can lead to excess oil production. Once your hair is mostly dry, pay attention to the styling products you use. Lightweight sprays or mousses are fine on the mid-lengths, but avoid applying heavy creams, thick serums, or oils near the roots. These products may give shine or hold at first, but they cling to the scalp and make it greasy in no time. By keeping your roots product free, you let them stay fresh longer. All of these small steps work together: washing less often, choosing the right shampoo, applying it properly, clarifying weekly, keeping conditioner only on the ends, rinsing with cooler water, and protecting the roots from heavy products all combine to create a routine that truly supports an oily scalp. It is not about doing more, but about doing things with intention. Each adjustment gives your scalp the chance to balance itself instead of being pushed into overproduction. That's the routine, but let's go even further, because lifestyle habits often play just as big of a role as products. Your diet plays a much bigger role in scalp health than most of us realize. As we get older, our bodies process food differently, and what once had little impact may now show up directly in your skin and hair. Fried foods, sugary snacks, and processed meals tend to push oil production into overdrive. It is not about cutting out every little treat, but about being mindful. Adding more leafy greens, lean proteins, and omega-3 fatty acids from sources like salmon, walnuts, or flax seeds can make a visible difference. These nutrients support a balanced scalp environment while giving your hair a stronger foundation to grow. Alongside food, hydration cannot be overlooked. When the body is dehydrated, it compensates by producing more oil, which shows up at the roots. Keeping a water bottle nearby throughout the day is a simple step that works from the inside out. Shifting from food to lifestyle, stress is another factor that many women notice more after 50. Hormonal changes already affect how the scalp regulates oil, and high stress only adds to the imbalance. When cortisol levels rise, the result can be increased oiliness at the roots. You may notice this during particularly busy or emotional weeks. The good news is that even small daily habits can help reset that balance. Deep breathing for a few minutes in the morning, light stretching before bed, or taking a short walk outside can all bring the body back into a calmer state. Journaling or listening to music you love can also work wonders. It does not require an elaborate routine. Consistency in small practices is what creates the shift. From lifestyle to habits, another common trigger for oily hair is how often we touch it. Oils from the hands transfer directly to the scalp, which adds another layer of build-up. Many women develop the habit of brushing frequently or running fingers through their hair without realizing how much this spreads the oil. Keeping hair loosely tied back at home can help break the pattern. Over time, less touching means less oil transfer and roots that stay fresher longer. Now let's talk about styling products. These can either work for you or against you, depending on what you choose. Heavy serums, oils, and thick creams tend to weigh the hair down and exaggerate scalp greasiness, especially when applied too close to the roots. Lightweight sprays or foams are a better choice, giving lift and control without the residue. Mousse or root lifters can still be useful, but in very small amounts. Dry shampoo is another favorite, but it should be used as a tool rather than a daily habit. Relying on it too often clogs the scalp, which eventually signals the oil glands to work harder. By using it sparingly, you get the freshness without the rebound effect. When you bring all of these pieces together, smarter washing routines, scalp-focused shampooing, mindful conditioning, lifestyle changes, and thoughtful product choices, you create a system that truly works with your body instead of fighting against it. The result is freedom from that heavy, greasy feeling at the roots. Your hair feels lighter, cleaner, and more manageable, staying fresh for longer stretches between washes. It is not about adding endless new products, but about making intentional choices that allow your scalp to naturally find its balance again. So let me ask you, what's your biggest oily scalp struggle? Leave your answer in the comments. I'd love to hear what you're dealing with. If you enjoyed watching this video, you will definitely love this next one.